Seeing no data. Where does it show no data? Okay, I'm gonna assume that it's working because I see no data in the YouTube live control panel. एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच वाहिगुरु 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 जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। नानक सहज मिलै जग जीवन नदर करो निस्तारा। धन गुरु रामदास जी रखो शरणे। Okay, welcome back to In the Code live stream. This is 31st December 2024. Welcome to the New Year's Eve live stream, and there are quite a few things I want to document in this session, which is all the things that I did today itself. So that's quite a few eventful days we've had in the past 8 or 10 days or so. So quiz trivia, After Effects optimization, what does it mean? So I'm gonna show you this thing here. Ignore the fonts, they're all weird. So if I just play this, I'm gonna turn the music off. This is like a quiz trivia sort of video that I'm supposed to I was asked to make, and it's very, very simple, right? But I spent some time optimizing it so that I can just put in 3 numbers and all of these animations that you see will follow that. And I just felt like it's important for me to document it because there's quite a few important things that I learned myself in this. And let me turn After Effects and turn it off and bring it on because I don't like the way it's messing up my fonts. It just ruins it with a mess up of the fonts in there. It consistently shows no data in this control panel. Does that mean the stream is not happening? Bro, what is up with this font situation? What is your problem with pop-ins? I don't understand, Adobe. What is your problem? God. Last try. If it doesn't work, we're gonna just roll with it. And it doesn't. It just looks so bad, all of this. It's because the font is like that. Anyway, let me just show you the optimization that I've done here. So I'll come inside this. This is just one comp, okay? And there are 4 layers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is happening primarily here is you see on the top there is a counter. So that is just a text layer. And I will have to zoom in at parts so you understand how this is working. So most importantly, I have a control layer here. Okay, that is not at the top of the layer stack. This is important to note. This control layer has some effects on it, which you can see right here. There is 3 slider layers: answer, margin, and timer. Okay, margin is not so important. It is answer and timer which is important. So answer is the slider value which will tell this composition which answer is the right answer, and basis that there's going to be a rectangle which is going to be positioned at this place. Okay, and if you see this thing which is happening, the burst, that would also happen right here. That is basis the number of this slider over here, the answer, and this timer here is at 8, right? So if I was to go back here, you see our composition is starting from 8 seconds, and it takes 8 seconds before it starts to wiggle, and then this green color mask over here fills up the screen, and then your answer gets revealed. So just to show you, if I was to make this timer 6 seconds, okay, now if you see here, the whole animation, the way it is, will happen in 6 seconds, even the wiggle and then coming out. And if let's say the right answer for this was not B, it was, the answer was 4. Okay, all of the things will just update basis that. So now we have a 6-second timer and the right answer is 4, and even this by itself, right, this glitter thing is happening at 4. Now this is looking a lot weird than it should. That is because the font is messed up, right? It's just an Adobe problem, I can't help it. So I'm just going to show you the the logic behind that is more important, because fonts is fine, it'll fix by itself over time. So how does this work, right? This counter thing, I will just show you how it is working. First of all, if I press E twice, you will see that this has this expression on it. Okay, on the source text we have added this expression. Let me zoom in here. So num is math.round effect slider control slider. On this layer itself there's a slider control. Okay, that is defining, that is the definition of num. I'm taking math.round because we don't want decimal values, so val is 0. If num is less than 10, value is this colon 0 plus num, else value is this plus num. Okay, just because I want to have 10, 9, 8, 7 that way. When it is like less than 10, you want to add a 0 in front, but when it is 10, you just want the num. So that's the source text. Okay, now because the source text is linked to the slider, this slider is what has to have the animation logic. So of course you don't want this to happen through keyframes. We want it to happen through the linear expression. So on the slider value, which is again the value that is going in here into the source text, we've added a simple expression here. Let me make it so I am on this side. Yeah, so this slider value has an answer time, which is again the slider on the control layer. So if I come in here and enable the control layer, and I'm going to lock it so we can keep accessing it there. So I come down here, you see answer time is this com.layer control, that control layers slider answer time, and a is just a random variable. You don't even need this. If this is the last time, this expression will still work. So linear time going from 0 to answer time, this value, the slider value, goes from answer time to 0. Okay, so if the answer time is 6, linear as time, this is the value which we're looking at, as this value goes from 0 to 6, your value, Mr. Slider, or a in this case, has to go from 6 to 0, so reverse direction, and then we're finally outputting a. So that is how this is working. Okay, so you understand that much. Now once the counter is in place, what is the next thing? We want this mask to open up. Okay, now that is interesting because this is something I didn't know, and I took ChatGPT's help for this. On this mask is just a green color layer, and we have added this mask path. Okay, it's a mask path, and it is getting keyframe, right? So the mask path is going from being nothing to some like covering up the entire screen. Now what is the expression here that is being used? So I'll just make this a little bigger and zoom in here to explain. So okay, again, answer timer is where you're looking at the control which we're using for everything, looking at the answer timer, and say start time is answer timer minus 0.4. Set your desired start time here. So if time is greater than or equal to start time, value at time minus start time. This shift the keyframes by subtracting start time. Okay, else value at time 0. So value at time at 0 is basically when the mask is covered completely. So in any other case, the mask is going to be covered. However, if time is greater than or equal to start time, and start time in our case, because we're doing 6, right? Start time is answer time minus 0.4. So if value is greater than 6 minus 0.4, let's say round about here, if value is greater than this, then value at time minus start time. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure how this changes. So value at time at this time minus start time. So start time is here. So basically what it's telling is, if the start time of the layer was here, you want to subtract that and make the start time here. So because at the start time we had these 3 keyframes for mask path, now that is happening here. That's basically the logic. Yeah, it's not that complicated to wrap your head around. That is that. Now for this rectangle layer. Okay, this rectangular circle layer, which is like the correct answer layer, this is just a rounded rectangle. However, there are some expressions on it, primarily on the size. So I've added a standard expression here, which is your source vector time. So I'm looking at what is the correct answer. Okay, the correct answer is coming from the answer slider in the control. Text layer is this text. Okay, this com.layer answer source text. Now this is important, which is why, let me just jump back here. The 4 answers, right? The 4 answers of the trivia are layer 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you don't want to change this, because then otherwise this answer thing will not work. So what we're doing is we're saying text layer is this com.layer answer. So if the answer I've given here is 2, then it would be, the text layer would be this com.layer 2, which is 2009 in this case. dot source vector time, and p is just for margin, is just another slider control. So we say w is text layer dot width, text layer dot height, which is source layer dot source vector time dot width and height, and then we do the standard x is w plus p or h plus p, and then x comma y. This is to have your text, have your rectangle be exactly the size of the text with the margin, which is p. So if I was to come in here and increase the margin, you will see it will proportionately increase the whole thing because we've added p to both x and y both. This looks ugly at the moment, but it's because of the font, so please forgive me for that. It will, if the font was good, let me show you. If the font was good, oh no, okay, wait, I know why it looks ugly. Let me undo. Poppins is fine, but even then it looks ugly because this anchor point is not centered. Yes, the font is ugly. Why should that got it. The anchor point has to be centered of the layers, because then everything depends on that. Okay, yeah, sorry, I had to show that ugly part. But anyway, so we're looking at source time. Now the other thing is anchor point. I have added center anchor point on this, right, on the rectangle layer itself. So that's a very simple expression, again using source vector time. Text layer is this layer. It doesn't have to be text layer, it could be this layer as well. This layer dot source vector time with height left top, and we say x is l plus w by 2, y is t plus h by 2, x comma y. This, for any layer that you do, it will center the anchor, or whatever property it is, in this case anchor point, it will center it in that layer. Okay, and then position, this is very straightforward. Answer is whatever the layer is, okay, this com dot layer, and then position is this com dot transform dot position. That is all. So we're doing the transform dot position, so whatever the answer is, we go there. Now the last thing which is left here is this thing which is popping up, right? Now this pop-up is actually from Particle Fireworks. This is from Animation Composer, and when it comes, if I alt control T this, what happened? I don't know. Huh? What is that supposed to do? Somewhere it's taking a screenshot with the timer. I don't know. I was doing alt control T for time remap. So when you put something from Animation Composer, by default this is how it comes, okay? But we want to say alt control T. If it doesn't do that with your timer. Enable time remap. On time remap, you want to add this expression, which again is basically the same thing that I showed for the mask expanding. We say we move the time ahead by answer timer. Okay, that's when you want it to happen. The position again is this position. Okay, the position of this layer. However, I've subtracted a little more, right? If you do the position of the layer, your burst will happen. Sorry. The position of the layer, the burst will happen right at the anchor point, which I do not want. So what I've done is I've added a little more expression. I said answer layer is this com dot layer answer. Okay, so sector time. Now I'm looking at the width, and what I'm doing is I'm doing width by 2. I'm subtracting that from position 0. So that will take me from here, from the center, exactly like half here. So subtracting half of the width of the text layer, and so we are here where D is written or C is written or A, B, whatever is written. So that is how this is working. I guess I have covered everything here. Now yes, it took me like I would say 35-40 minutes to figure this out, but once I've done that, I just have to duplicate this com, come in here, change the timer. If the question is long, you need more time to read, so you increase the timer. If it is short, you need less time to read, you decrease the timer. And it's like very easy to now make these. Okay, if After Effects doesn't do this thing where it messes up the fonts. That is the first thing that I wanted to document. Okay, the second thing is, let me open this project that we've been working on and take reference from Notion. So fixing in the code pop vectors issue, right? Pop vectors issue. Okay, so I have this ITK script on the side. which is something that I use all the time. It has bin to, you know, just delete the media cache, and it has these two buttons here, these two boxes which define in and out, and then I have these beautiful things that I use all the time. Now one thing that I want to tell you is, if by default, right, if I have this icon here, okay, and I come in here and with, let's say 20, let it be 20, and I say in, okay, I say in, what happens is, if I show the keyframes, this will happen like this, okay, and that is not the fault of the script, but it is the fault of how transform effect works. So by default, what the script is doing is just adding a transform effect and scaling whatever the artwork is from 0 to 100. Now how do you fix this? Is something I've already documented on the channel in one of the videos, but I also forgot myself. So the easy way to fix this situation is, what you want to happen is, you want to double click here, so you find that anchor point, the transform effects anchor point, the transform effects position, and then with this layer you want to say shift P. Okay, now how do you fix this is, you want to take the anchor point of the transform effect, pick it to the position of the layer, and then you want to take the position of the transform effect and pick it to the anchor point of the transform effect. And now if you see, I was so confident about this. Why is this not working? Oh, because we parented to another layer. Why? How did we get parented to another layer? Yeah, that's why your fundamentals in After Effects are so important. So yeah, this is working now fine. Now what I want to document is how to do this inside ExtendScript. So if you look at my ExtendScript, this is the ITK script. Okay, I'm going to open fixing ITK Pop. So over here, what I have done is, let me take this here. It's going to be a lot not readable, but bear with me. So the way you fix it is, you say variable transform anchor point is, you find the transform anchor point, its value, you find the transform position, basically the transform effects anchor point and position, and its value, then the layers position, its value. This is one important thing. This is where I was getting stuck. So position here, because I said, what do we have to do? We have to make the transform effects anchor point to the position, right? We need to pick whip it. Over here, when we pick whip it, we're adding an expression, but here when I say set value, over here we aren't really adding an expression, we're saying keyframes. And the one thing that I had to note here was that position is always a 3 value vector, XYZ. Even if here in your transform effect, let me zoom in here, if you go in here, your transform position, even though over here it only says X and Y, there is always a hidden Z property here which you need to take into account. So this one thing that I was facing a problem with is, if you see this part of the code which is commented, what we're doing is, if the position of the value of that vector is 3, then you make it 2 by doing this. That's layer position value and transform position value. And then after that we do this, that transform anchor point, so the transform effects anchor point, set value to layer position value, and then transform position, the layers position, you set value, sorry, anchor point or transform layers, transform effects anchor point to the layers position value, and the transform position, transform effects position value to the anchor point which we just set. Wow, that's too much to say. However, what I want to do is, I want to come into my in the code script, which you see on the right side here, and come into the point where I have these 4 functions for pop element in, fade out, pop element out. If I am to add all this information, right, 4 times, which I just showed to you, it makes no sense. So the thing that I want to work on moving forward is, how can I make functions that will return, like I was already working on this function here at the bottom, over here, function effect properties. This is a function to return all the properties of the function. So what I want to do is, I want to come here and I want to make a function which will return all of these properties to me, okay, and I will just simply have to call like position, use that, it will be a global function in my script. I will use that function to call the effects, let's say transform position, whatever, and just use that particular property without having to define all of these in every single function that has to make use of the properties in the effects that we've got. I think you're not understanding anything. It's fine. It's hard for me to explain all of this stuff right away, but what I can say is, in the coming episodes I'm going to be documenting this scripting part a lot more, so that is there to come. We are at 2016. The next thing is this word effect, tracking object in After Effects. So I made a simple track. That was the only project. If I can find, it was called JD, what was it called? ASCD2 comp line one's opinion. So this little cute animation, this video by the way I got from Runway. So the image I generated using FreePic AI and the video I got from Runway, and then this little text that you see that is popping up is something that I've tracked. Okay, so how do you track? It's actually pretty straightforward. I'm going to try and show you with an example. So let me track, let's say, his belt. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go into the motion tracking workspace. Okay, with this composition selected, I'm going to say track motion. This will give me a track point. I'm going to take this track point, and yeah, let's track his button here. That's a good contrast point. So I'm going to track the button kind of like this. Okay, once that is done, you want to come in here and use these to track motion. Okay, you want to select, this is the tracker, you want to select transform because it's just 1 point, and then you come back up, come to the side, and then come here. So here there are these options for analyze forward or analyze 1 frame forward. You can play this so that it will analyze forward, then we'll stop if there are some points that we're losing. So we play it forward, and I think it's gonna stick on very well throughout because there's no like crazy. Oh yeah, we have a little bit of, okay, towards the end we did get a lose, we have lost it towards the end. So I'm gonna come back and go to the point where we started losing the track. So up until here we were good, and the first jerk that you see, right, you want to look at this inside box, huh? That is where your track is. So I'm going to come in here, move it here, and then track it again. So the points where we're losing it from the center, I'm just going to bring it back, and here we're going to use the analyze 1 frame forward. Actually what we can do is the tracker 2, I can just press U and delete all of these, so it's like we're starting afresh from this point, and now I'm going to do analyze forward. Again analyze forward, we're sticking on pretty well. Yeah, so a little bit of over here, there's a bit of a this thing. Now come here, that's fine, a little bit of movement, we can manually adjust that. So once that is done, we didn't add anything, so we can always come back here, and let's say I want to add whatever, you can add anything, maybe let's just add text, and we'll call this button. Okay, and I can't see anything. Where is paragraph character? Make this white and bold. Okay, this button here, this I want to track there. So again I'm going to select this, and I think how do you go? You go into the layer. Okay, you have the track point here, and you want to say edit target. You want to select the text that we created button. Okay, after that you want to come in here and say apply. This will give you an option to apply in X or Y, so hit OK, and now your button is going to be, because it starts there, so you bring it here, is going to be tracked. If you look at the keyframes, okay, so this is something you have to be mindful of, right? You know, bring it here like this, where the first keyframe is, that's going to be your first point, and then bring it here,
because so they don't want us to say yes.
Something is off. Doesn't quite look right to me. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna do this again. So this client confused going to the layer, and this tracker too. I'm just gonna delete this, and we're gonna track it once again. The same button. It should just tick. Track motion. The observer tracker too. I'm gonna come in here. What? Yeah, doing this live is all the more difficult because like there is no room for error. We're already 30 minutes in. Okay, we come here and I'm going to increase this a little bit more so we have more space, and you should have done it at the first frame. No problem. This is what we're looking for. Let's track it forward. And the moment it goes whack, right, just stop it. Like just press spacebar right there. I'm pressing spacebar because you see, I think that is the problem. So you come in here and you want to track it forward. Don't just press spacebar. That's a bit different with rotoscoping, right? With rotoscoping, there is no button to move forward. You just have to press spacebar and then move forward. It will just automatically move forward in that case. So this inside square is kind of sticking where I want it to. I'll just move it a little bit to this side, then drag it forward. Okay. So that's our track. I'm going to say edit target. I'm going to use the text button and apply X and Y. Yes. So now you will see that your button is tracked onto the button text is tracked onto the actual button. It's not perfect, it's moving a little bit, but that we can do, like we can go ahead and change it. Basically this is how I made this thing here. So instead of just text, that is an actual pre-comp that we have applied things to, and there is a simple text animation inside. Okay, so that was the third thing. The last two are not that important. I'm just going to go in here. So exporting audio files, right? In order for me to work between DaVinci Resolve and After Effects, and yeah, I need to export audio from DaVinci Resolve because that's how you work, right? And then you render it out from here and go back into Resolve. So with DaVinci Resolve, this is one thing I wanted to point out. It's not so much of a hack or anything. It's just kind of a limitation which we have to deal with, and that is in my edit page. Let's say I'm working on my timeline here, right? I cannot just select this part. Like let's say this is part I've highlighted and I've made that orange, which means I'm going to bring this into After Effects and make a cut down out of it. The thing is, you can't select this clip and say right click export audio. It's just not there. What you have to do is you have to come into Fairlight. Okay, once you come into Fairlight, then you have this clip selected, the same clip, you right click and you'll get an option called export audio files, which is the thing which DaVinci Resolve does, and that is a lot of the things you can do inside Fairlight page with the right click menu, you cannot do them in edit page. And so I thought maybe if I add a custom shortcut to it, right, Control Shift Q, I did that in the customization. If then I come in here and maybe I select this a Control Shift Q, it doesn't work. So even the shortcuts are like workspace stuck with Resolve, and that I don't know, maybe they think that is a feature. To me, that's a very big limitation. Like, why is workspaces and everything so rigid inside Resolve? Because like, fine, I get it that you want people to do audio stuff inside Fairlight and color stuff inside Color, but at least give the flexibility that you have the same commands showing up in the right click menu everywhere. Anyway, that's just a rant because it is unnecessarily like I have to keep going here and here and here. I want to have as little friction as possible when I'm working on my edit. So that's one thing Blackmagic should really work on. is that give workspace flexibility as how Adobe does, because it's so important for like anybody who loves optimizing their work like I do. The last thing, adding objects using Photoshop AI. Having the foreground color fill color to pure black helps. White doesn't generate. Clean up, add, remove elements in the AI. I don't think there's anything worth documenting here. And that concludes the final live stream of this year. Few final thoughts before I conclude. I'm hoping that the audio, video, everything went fine. It's showing excellent. Earlier it wasn't showing anything. But anyway, 9:22. We are 31 minutes in the stream, pretty long. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be alive. I'm so grateful for life at the moment. There, all these things that are happening is, especially with this live stream in the last 8 days or so. Everything that has happened in life so far has contributed me to be in a position to just sit here and just document things one after the other. With like the lights are a button away, mic is always plugged in, the video is in 4K, the audio sounds amazing with the processing and everything. I don't have to sit and edit this video. A lot has gone into it, and this year for the most part has been pretty tough. But at the same time, I feel like hands down 2024 is a year where I have learned the most and I've grown the most because of the adversities that have come. And I'm very grateful for every little difficulty that God gave me, because they've made me stronger and they've made me so much better with what I'm doing right now with life. So the first video on the channel, right, why this name in the code, all the reasons mentioned in that video, to some degree they still hold true, right? For why I create content on this channel every single day. At least now I've started again. However, one thing I was thinking about just this evening is this live stream, right? This gives me this amazing sense of relief that, let's say if I was to die tonight, right, if I went to sleep and I did not wake up in the morning, I would be very content, because whatever I've learned today, I have documented it. It's there in the form of a live stream on this channel, and it's like it's a part of me which says I'm not taking anything away. Whatever because all of these things that I share or document in this live streams or on this channel is something that I've learned from other people for the most part. Little bit of it is my own trial and error, but for the most part I have seen so many tutorials, and that's how I've learned. So I have given away everything that I learned. I did not keep anything with me, so I die a happy soul that way. That, I don't know, that doesn't sound like a very good note to end the year or the live stream, but that's it. Wish you a very happy new year, and I really hope that I can continue the momentum of live streams in 2025 as well, because every day I'm working on these projects that I end up learning so many things. So thanks so much for being in the court. I will catch you in the next session. Waheguru Ji Ka